YouTube channel where we cover practical monitoring and evaluation and project planning and management. So today we are covering the concept of baseline surveys in monitoring and evaluation. And our session objectives today or outline. We're going to look at the introduction to baseline surveys, types of surveys or studies, gathering data, and the rationale conducting baseline surveys, and difficulties or challenges in executing the baseline surveys. And by the end of today's session, our learning objective today is I want you to be able to explain the concept of baseline study and explain the rationale for carrying out baseline study, and also to be able to demonstrate the ability to carry out the baseline studies. Just to give a brief introduction, baseline studies, these are studies that are carried out to establish a starting point for a project, making it possible to see if anything has changed as a result of the project. In project management, a baseline is known as a state by which something is measured or compared. The base or starting point is best established before a program is implemented. Thus, documenting the status is a vital component in the project implementation process. As I've explained, this is a starting point of the project. You want to establish whether the starting point of the project and if it's possible for anything to be changed or to be improved. So, for example, if you're running a project in maybe about the farmers in Namlonge, you want to know which farming methods have they been using for you to set your objectives for the project. Maybe you want to improve the farming methods, so you want to know what exactly is the starting point is of this project of farmers I'm going to carry out. So what is a baseline? Fixing the time at the base or a benchmark in which you measure progress. This is a benchmark in which you can measure your progress, that we started at this point and maybe we have achieved this point. If we were at 6, we are now at 10. So you're measuring. It's used as a benchmark to measure your progress. Under a baseline, we also have to look at the indicators at the time. Yes. And the instruments used to do this, you have to test the hypothesis of the project, assessing the results, and also planning, refining your targets or indicators to monitor. So that's what helps us in conducting a baseline. You can plan and refine your indicators to monitor. Why would you do a baseline? To identify whether there were any benefits for investment made, what are the objectives met for maybe a previous project, and for you starting from there, what objectives met for that project? What factors explain the result? You want to know, do the factors are found explain the result are found on ground? How can the program be improved? You compare alternative models and to inform the next generation projects, maybe best practices, and also to do evidence-based policy making. You demonstrate the effect for government funding. So that's why we would do a baseline. And right now we're going to look at some types of surveys under the baseline surveys. One is the multi-topic household survey, also known as the Living Standards Measurement Survey. This is a multi-subject integrated survey that provides a means to gather data on a number of aspects of living standards to inform policy. The data collected may pertain to education, attainment, income level, housing type, family size, employment, and access to social services. So this is a multi-topic where you can do a baseline survey assessing the level of education of maybe this target group you're targeting, the income levels, the housing type, the family size, the employment, access to social services. This you can conduct on multiple indicators or standards. Yeah, so this is why it's called the multi-topic household survey, and this is more like for the household survey if you're targeting households to do a particular intervention on these households. The other type is a single topic household survey. This cover a narrow range of issues. Yeah, this is more specific on one issue. Maybe you can look at the employment in the agriculture sector, the housing type. So here you're just focusing on one issue of this group of people, population or household. So you can look at the housing type, and this is your baseline. What type of houses are they having at that time? What is your target for your project, or what are the indicators for the target? Yeah, if you're looking at the vocational skills or farming types, this is a single topic looking at maybe farming types carried out by different farmers in this region, in a specific region, let's say in a central region. So this is specifically or singly topic, like you're specific to one issue and going in depth on that one issue. So depending on the type of project you want to conduct, or you're planning to conduct, you can use any of these household surveys types to do the baseline. You can use the multi-topic or single topic surveys. The other one is a core welfare indicator questionnaire. This is a household survey that measures change in social indicators for the different population groups, especially indicators of access, utilization, and satisfaction with the social and economic services. Yeah, it's a quick and effective tool for improving activity design, targeting services to the poor, and can be repeated annually. For monitoring activity performances, doing preliminary results can be obtained within 30 days of the CWIQ survey. So this core welfare indicator questionnaire or survey is basically looking at the social change, the social indicators or the social change in the different population of groups, where you look at access and utilization or satisfaction with the social and economic services. As in the name, it's a core welfare. So you're looking at maybe if it's a service, you're conducting a baseline of, like, if it's a service of national water and people in maybe in the Wakiso district have been utilizing national water. So you're looking at that specific item, and also in the aspect of utilization and access. So you can conduct a baseline of how many people have access to national water so far, how many are utilizing the national water so far, and then you can utilize that to set your target for maybe by year end of 2023. You'd like to see if it's a population of, like, let's say 1 million people in Wakiso have been utilizing the national water, and you want to target like 2 more million people, maybe like, or 5,000 households utilizing national water. So you can also utilize this core welfare indicator to assess the satisfaction at that point. Maybe if it's you're asking questions, how are they satisfied with the service? Yeah. And then it helps you to improve on your next project. As I outlined earlier, the objectives of conducting a baseline survey or study, and to know where to improve, and also readjust your indicators for a project you want to implement in that specific region. And they also have the client satisfaction survey. This is used to assess the performance of a government service based on a client experience. Yeah, I'm going to utilize the same example, maybe national water, or we can use Umeme here. This sheds light more on the constraints client face in accessing public services, the views about the quality and adequacy of services, and the responsiveness of the government officials. So in the client satisfaction survey, let's look at a service like Umeme, the electricity service that is offered to us. So here you're asking the clients their views about the quality of the umeme they have, the electricity they have, how it's delivered. In this case, you can ask questions of like, how many have access to umeme? How is the power running in their homes? Are they comfortable with the service? Are they would they need any improvement in the service? Are there any delays? So this is more for the government to assess how government services are doing, and the client experience of the government services, and also the responsiveness of the government officials. So that's this is about the client satisfaction. You can go deeper into. There are very many government services. So this is the kind of survey you can conduct to assess government service delivery, the client satisfaction survey. Next, we're looking at the phases of conducting a baseline. One, we have the design phase, then the implementation, which is the actual survey, the data cleaning, entry and analysis, or data management, and the report writing. Under gathering data or information, a baseline is best conducted before a project is started. Yeah, that is very crucial for you to note, that it's very crucial for you to conduct a baseline before a project is started. One, for you to assess the impact that has been achieved so far, and also for you to know how much you would need to achieve maybe a certain objective of the project you intend to do in a particular region, or to do. Yeah. So the project implementers may have to weigh the need for a baseline study when they conduct their first phase. However, this is risky, though a second phase can use the data obtained in the first ascertain more progress. The aspects utilize primary and secondary data. Yeah, in conducting your baseline, you can utilize primary data and secondary data. Reports that have been done before, you can ask for those reports on a particular project to inform you more, or you can actually do primary data where you go and do data collection on this the particular intervention group here to collect a baseline survey data for you before you start your project. Yeah, we're going to look at the checklists you need in conducting your baseline survey. One, you have to set clear objectives of what is exactly the problem. You have to have a clear idea of how you achieve your objectives. There has to be a causal chain or the hypothesis stated. You have to set clear and measurable indicators. They have to be clear in terms of very precise and not ambiguous, relevant to objectives, and monitorable. You have to be very, very smart in setting your indicators for this baseline. Smart meaning specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and attainable. As I mentioned earlier, they have to be very clear and measurable, very precise and relevant and monitorable to the objectives. Also, when you're designing your survey instruments, you have to keep them simple and related to the objectives and the hypothesis you want to test. You can possibly link your surveys to the management information systems. It's an era of data and information technology, so you can do your survey instruments in apps like EpiCollect 5 or ODK or SmartMonkey, any information management system you can use right now online to make it simpler and easier and accessible for everyone. Yeah, you have also, in conducting your baseline surveys, you have to select the controls and the counterfactuals which you have to attribute to the change. This will look further into it when we are doing our evaluations and types of evaluation and methods used in evaluation. So that I shall look more into these concepts of the controls and the counterfactuals, and just maybe to give a brief about it. The control is the group which will receive the intervention, and the counterfactual is a group which will not receive the intervention. So when you're conducting your baseline survey, it's very important also, maybe if you're looking at a school project and you've selected particular schools that are going to receive an intervention. Maybe you've selected that 6 schools in Wakiso that are receiving an intervention. Those are the control. Then you have to also select other 6 schools that will not that will not receive the intervention, and that will be the counterfactual group. So you collect data, survey that on both those groups, so that at the end of the project you can compare that these that received the intervention, how far better are they than these that did not receive the intervention, or are they the same or not the same? You're actually assessing the impact of the project. Yeah. Also, you can look at the timing of the baseline. It's very important to do it before the project starts. But if the project never materializes, or you can do it 2 years into the project when the intervention has begun. Other factors constant, you can do a midterm or at the end of the phase. Yeah, you can do a baseline, anytime. But it's very, very important to do it before a project starts, the actual crucial part. Then also when you're conducting your sampling, looking at the sampling strategy, it's very important to do random sampling. This allows inferences about a population. You can use stratified random sampling groups and non-random. This is here I use a smaller group than the population, but the downside that it introduces selection bias. Yeah, so every stratification you introduce has a level of bias. Designing a database for data entry, and a data entry, you conduct after you've done your surveys or data collection, you have to design before this is in the design stage. You design your database entry system where data will be entered. You have to translate your questionnaire. You can provide adequate training on it. The importance, outlining the objectives and the importance of the study, the baseline you're going to conduct, and how the sections are linked, and what the questions mean. So when you're conducting, before you conduct your survey, you can do a training on the questionnaire you've developed, setting its objectives, and clarifying questions with the data collectors who will be involved in the process. If there are any questions they need clarification on, and if possible, you can also attend the trainings and stay very much involved in the process. Let's say you're the monitoring and evaluation expert in this team. So we continue. Then after, you have to test your questionnaire. That is it's called the pilot test. You can do a pilot test and ask yourself these questions and see if they're relevant to their outcomes, if they're easily understood. So before you go to a field, you have to do a pilot test of your questionnaire to know where to improve in the questionnaire. A notification is that you can add to the questionnaires, but you cannot change the questions once you've done the survey. So the pilot test or pre-field test is very important for you to ascertain whether the questionnaires and questions are relevant to the outcomes and if they're easily understood. Under survey data collection, we look at the questionnaires. You can design or refine them and adapt them as data collection instruments. You have to specify the level of data collection, the length of the questionnaires, according to your outcomes, but it's very advisable to keep them minimal because respondents normally don't have that much time. Someone wouldn't have an hour to sit with you just to respond to a questionnaire. You have to keep that in mind. Also have to be smart questionnaires. Before you go to the field, you have to prepare all the support documentation, including the coding guides that you give to the data entrance, the interviewer, and the supervisor manuals, and the data entry manual. Yet for all this team that is involved in this baseline surveys, you have to avail this documentation to them. The translations and backup translation, the skip patterns, the coding open, and also coding the open-ended questionnaires. So this is all in the design stage of your baseline survey. You have to do all these things. Yeah, and under data management, we have data entry. You have to make your data entry system as foolproof as possible. It has to have unique identifiers to link both household, village, and the gear side data if it's maybe a health intervention or any intervention that has all these aspects in place. Yeah, ensure the database allows for merging of the data sets. Yeah, do not change or erase data on the questionnaires and the data entry. Emphasize that to your data clerks. Raw data should always be input as it is. Yeah, changes can be made in the database software with the documentation. Yeah, so often data entry is contracted out. Yeah, you can contract out because sometimes you have big masses of questionnaires to enter, so you may not, you and your team, if you have a small team or you're one, you may not do this, so you can contract that out to data clerk or consultancies that can do the data entry for you. But some things to note: name the variables corresponding to the question and section in the questionnaires, include a dictionary, code the descriptive answers, yeah, in the data entry sheet. To facilitate analysis, all fields should be filled, yeah, it shouldn't be null or null. Units should be uniform by the districts if it's districts, if the data is collected per district. Totals should be calculated by a formula, not the summary column. If you're using an Excel sheet, do consistency checks, check for missing entries, wrong entries, sample out statistics patterns. Queries should be inbuilt. Do validity checks, similar questions in different places on the questionnaire. Yeah, that is about our data entry. If you're conducting your data entry, we'll move on to data analysis. Common mistakes you should avoid in interpreting data. These imply no analysis if your data has no correlations, there are no crosstabs, there are no statistical significance levels or regression, and also you should avoid overgeneralizing the results, misreporting the statistics, and using percentages when the numbers are small. Attributing causality also when it's not demonstrated. You should demonstrate causality before you attribute it. So these are common mistakes you should avoid in your data analysis as a baseline survey expert or a monitoring and evaluation expert in your field or on a project. Yeah. So under report writing, one thing you should look at in your report, it should be simple, clear, and relevant. You should set the limitations, set the major findings that should be upfront, focus on the quality rather than quantity. Technical details should be in an appendix. Always include the questionnaire in the appendix. Ask for the electronic copy of the data. Maybe if it's a consultancy contracted it out, yeah, you contracted baseline survey out, yeah, you should be able to ask for an electronic copy of the data. Or if you're a consultant, you should also have the electronic copy of the data to avail to the firm or organization you're doing this baseline survey for. And request for copies of filled out surveys. Yeah, it's essential if you're a consultant at the midterm and they want to conduct internal analysis. So these documents are essential to have on you as a consultant, or yeah, when you've done the baseline survey, you should be able to avail them to the organization you've done the baseline survey for. So this is it today in our video about baseline surveys. Yeah, in the next videos I'll be looking at the baseline report, but today we're ending it here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let's continue to share and study more on my channel here. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, and I love you. Thank you.